Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to this month's webinar sponsored by the Holy Cross Institute at St. Edward's University. As you are joining, we welcome you. We're delighted that you took time out of your very busy schedules to be here. We're going to encourage you throughout the session to use your chat feature. So use the chat button to let us know who you are, where you're from, say hello to the rest of the world. We have over 150 attendees today, and from numerous countries all over the world. So please let us know who you are and click on that chat button. And then I'll remind you that this is all being recorded. So be nice. But this is all being recorded, and we'll get started in just a moment or two. We want to give opportunity for people to join in. So let us know who you are. All right, we see people rolling in here now. So thank you, folks. Oh gosh, we have some of the brothers from Columba Hall and Mike Truesdale at Holy Cross High School in New York. Thank you, everybody. Brother Larry right here in Austin, Texas. Nicole McGee, and Nicole is working on the strategic plan for the Holy Cross Institute. Welcome, Nicole. And Chad Skinner from marketing, a 97 grad of St. Edward's. Terrific. Welcome. And some Notre Dame West Haven folks. Brother Stephen Lavandola from King's College, where I think they're buried under a foot of snow. So thank you, Father Tom O'Hara, as well from King's. Wonderful. Brother John Page from San Antonio. Thank you so much. Dr. Fuentes, the newly appointed president-elect of St. Edward's University. We welcome you, Dr. Fuentes. Brother Bill Zadak from Holy Cross College in Notre Dame. Ed O'Connell in Connecticut. Thank you, Ed. And Father Peter Walsh. My goodness, look, they're rolling in now. Waterbury, more St. Edward's University alumni, faculty and staff members I see here. Sister Yannick from Montreal, Canada. Thank you, sister. Just terrific to see these rolling in. Thank you for your support and for being a part of this program. Again, we're just going to give it another minute to allow people to get into the webinar, and then we'll get started. More folks from South Bend. Dr. McNeely, Stanton McNeely, the president from the University of Holy Cross in New Orleans. Dr. McNeely, thank you for being with us today. Vice President for Advancement at St. Ed's, Joe De Medeiros. Thank you, Joe. Sister Mary Elizabeth from Brazil. So we thank you, sister, for joining us from Brazil. We have folks from Bishop McNamara High School. Dr. Robert Vanderweg, thanks for being on. Yeah, I just love it. This is one of the most enjoyable parts of the webinar, is seeing people chime in from all over the world. Okay, I think we will get started as more people will come in. And just as a reminder, this is being recorded, and the recording will be made available tomorrow to all of those who registered for today's event. First off, again, as a reminder, my name is Marco Clark, and I'm the Executive Director of the Holy Cross Institute at St. Edward's University. And I'm honored to be presenting to you the 5th installment of our webinar series, Honoring the History and Legacy of the Congregation of Holy Cross, which is part of the bicentennial celebration of the Brothers of St. Joseph. We have an incredible team who have been bringing you these webinars each month for the last 5 months, and I just want to thank them very quickly for their support. Joe De Medeiros, the Vice President for University Advancement at St. Edward's, Denise Rocha, Sarah Dickens, and Karen Dix from the University Advancement Office, Kel Bergantz from the Events and Conference Center at St. Edward's, and of course my partner in the Holy Cross Institute office, Laura Sanders. I also want to thank the members of the Board of Governors for all of your support and leadership, many of whom are on this meeting today. And in a special way, thank Dr. Andrew Prahl, the Provost at St. Edward's University, who has been just a great guide and mentor for me as I've acclimated to this new position. I especially want to thank St. Edward's University President Dr. George Martin, who shortly you'll have a chance to hear a few words from. But it was Dr. Martin's vision 16 years ago to form this Holy Cross Institute at St. Edward's University, and so we're delighted that he'll be here to share a few words with us today. And as I've mentioned, we welcome Dr. Fuentes, who is the successor to Dr. Martin, who comes to us with to welcome her to Austin and to St. Edward's and to the world of Holy Cross. We're going to begin with a prayer as we do all things, and we're going to use the 200th anniversary celebratory prayer. And so I would ask you just to join with me. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Gracious God, your providence is ever at work for the good of all peoples and nations. You inspired Jacques de Jarier to found the Brothers of St. Joseph as a force for good and a channel of grace in the world. As a model and by his message, Father de Jarier called the brothers to sanctify themselves, to be zealous for the salvation of others, and to acquire the Spirit of Christ. This is our heritage, and this is our mandate. Living the heritage and accepting the mandate require that we always walk ahead until we are in possession of the glory of God. May our lives as model and message invite others to follow Christ as Holy Cross men and women, to live as Jesus lived, to love as he loved, and to serve others with courage and conviction. May we live with such integrity that we too will be among those to whom the Lord promised eternal life because of our fidelity to the end. And we ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. And that beautiful prayer was written by Brother Joel Gialanza, my predecessor here at the Holy Cross Institute, and arguably one of the foremost scholars of Holy Cross in the world. So thank you, Brother Joel. Again, Marco Clark, Executive Director of the Holy Cross Institute, and we welcome you. Just very quickly, the Holy Cross Institute was founded in 2004 as a partnership between St. Edward's University and the Moreau and Midwest provinces of Brothers. The Holy Cross Institute at St. Ed serves as a seat of scholarship, resources, and leadership development to further the application of the Catholic and Holy Cross educational mission of Holy Cross educational institutions. For each of the last 5 months, we've conducted these webinars, and we want to thank our sponsor, our gold sponsor, the Y River Group. Y River provides financial counsel for nonprofits and businesses, and we're very grateful for the work and the support that the Y River Group has provided us. If you yourself are a business owner or know of businesses that would be interested in supporting the activities of the Holy Cross Institute, there are opportunities for sponsorships, and then there are as well opportunities for individual contributions to support our programs, all of which we offer for free to those in attendance. Very quickly, go over the Zoom instructions for today. We encourage you to use your chat bar for any questions that you may have. If you should run into any technical difficulties, please drop it into your chat, or you can send an email to hci@stedwards.edu, hci@stedwards.edu. And again, a reminder that we are recording this. And my last bit of advice is to enjoy. We're in for a really, really special program today. I want to just take a moment to introduce our first speaker who's going to offer us a welcome today. Dr. George Martin is no stranger to the world of Holy Cross, and certainly no stranger to St. Edward's University. He began his time at St. Edward's as president in 1999, and since his time on the Hilltop, the undergraduate enrollment here has doubled, and St. Edward's has distinguished itself and has been ranked among the top 25 universities in the Western region for 18 consecutive years by U.S. News and World Report. In the fall of 2019, Dr. Martin announced that this would be his last year at St. Edward's University, as he will be retiring at the conclusion of the 2021 academic year. So Dr. Martin, we thank you for being with us today, and we're going to turn this over to you for a few moments.
Thank you, Marco. Thank you for inviting me to join you today. I have just a couple of thoughts that have gone through my mind since Marco asked me to join you. The first thing I want to do, though, is to extend a special welcome to Dr. Fuentes, who will succeed me in July. I'm so happy that you're here today, Monsi, and I hope you enjoy the program. It'll get much better after I leave the screen. So among the things that I've thought about in preparing for today was something which happened just really a few days ago on December 8th. Pope Francis issued an apostolic letter, Patris Corde, with the Father's heart, which basically recognizes that 150 years before, Pius IX declared St. Joseph as the patron saint of the Universal Church. And when I read through the report in the newspaper about what was included in the Pope's letter, I was just reminded of how appropriate it is that St. Joseph is the patron saint of the brothers. The Pope celebrates St. Joseph as an ordinary and humble person who exercises great patience and offers much hope. He describes Joseph as setting aside his own ideas, as one who does not explain but accepts, as one who accepts life as it is, with all its contradictions, frustrations, and disappointments. And as someone who had unquestioning trust in divine providence. And I think all of those virtues are something that those of us who have had the privilege of working with the Brothers of Holy Cross have observed over the years in our work with them. Particularly, I would say their trust in divine providence. It has been, I think, an inspiration to me, an education for me, that in the most difficult of times, and the Pope's letter was written really in response to the impact of COVID-19 on the world, that in the most difficult of times, trust in God, trust in God's plan, is really what will set us free from the anxiety and frustration that all of us to some extent are experiencing. We must trust in providence even in the worst of times. And certainly many of our institutions, I know St. Edward's being one of them, has gone through very difficult times in the past, and of course is going through this time today. And it's that trust in providence, I think, that is going to bring us through that. And thanks to the brother, that is part of our culture. The second thing that went through my mind is we are really having an international theme today. And that has been something which really begins with the creation of the brothers' work, or the introduction of the brothers' work into the United States. We are the result of missionary work done by the brothers who were sent out by Father Moreau to the United States. And that's a very humbling thought when you think about it. And it's something I think that over the years we tended to forget. When I was in France several years ago, just beginning the program that we established over there as a partnership with the city of Angers, with the Institut Bois-Robert, and the University Catholique de l'Ouest, I was at a luncheon because we were seeking some government support for our new initiative. I was in a little town called Bécon-la-Granite, and I was being hosted by a group of representatives from the town. And as lunch began, one of the gentlemen sitting across from me raised the question very suspiciously, "Why are you here? What are you doing here?" And everyone got a little bit uptight. And I said, "We're returning home. We're returning to our beginning. And we want to incorporate that understanding of our history into the life of our institution as we move forward." I think that nothing is more important. We cannot claim to be educating students today unless we are providing them with a global experience in person, preferably, but also a global experience that can be provided through various kinds of virtual experiences. And this is directly encouraged by the Holy Cross mission as provided in the constitutions. It says, "Our mission sends us across borders of every sort. No culture of this world can be our abiding home. Our work itself becomes a prayer, a service that speaks to the Lord who works through us. So I think that the conversation we're going to have today can help to reinforce not only the origins of I think the international origins of our existence, but also the expansion of our international connections today through the many parts of the world that come to the convocation every year and actually are represented in today's audience. The third thing that went through my mind was the importance of service to the disadvantaged. As the mission statement of Holy Cross says, Christ was anointed to bring good news to the poor. Our efforts, which are his, reach out to those affected in a preferential way to the poor and the oppressed. We stand with the poor and the afflicted because only from them can we appeal, as Jesus did, for the conversion and deliverance of all. And I think that if we look at what we do at St. Edward's University, if we look at what we do in the institutions that are served by Holy Cross throughout the world, we really do focus on the less advantaged in society. And we promise them to educate them in a way that not only can they benefit from that education, but they can begin to educate the world. They can begin to, through their work, improve the world and the plight of the poor. That certainly has been a hallmark of St. Edward's, one which we are very proud of. For over 45 years ago, we established the CAMP program, the program for migrant students. We take in 35 a year. We give them a full ride, tuition, room, board, counseling, tutoring. And we have one of the highest graduation rates in the country for Hispanic students. In other words, our camp graduation rate actually matches the highest graduation rates of Hispanic students in the United States. I also, when I talk about how we need to serve students who come from less advantaged backgrounds, that we must strive for perfection. And that means that we must strive beyond graduation alone. We must strive to bring these students into the very privileged opportunities that exist after graduation from a university. And again, something I have proudly turned to at St. Edward's as we look at the almost 200 national and international awards that have been won by our students since 2008, including including 70 Fulbrights, is that those programs have become stepping stones for our students into the most prestigious graduate and professional programs in the world. Every year you see our students being accepted into institutions like Yale and the University of Chicago and Stanford and Harvard. And for me, that really is the beginning of bringing the change that we hope for into the world. These people are overwhelmingly of minority background. St. Edward's University is an Hispanic serving institution, has been before it became commonplace to be Hispanic serving. And it is a majority minority institution. When you look at our award winners, the top performers and where they go to professional schools, you see a disproportionate representation of minority students, particularly Hispanic women. They will be the people who will change the world in the future because they know what has to be changed. They know the kinds of experiences that the poor and disadvantaged go through through their own experiences in life. And I think that these combinations of things unite all of our Holy Cross institutions in a very special way. And the conversation that we have now through the Holy Cross Institute is the conversation that used to hold Holy Cross schools together when there were many more brothers. The Holy Cross Institute is meant to be a substitute for that, as we depend more and more on lay leadership within the schools. And the only way we can make sure that that's going to happen is to make sure the lay leadership, the lay members of our institutions understand what Holy Cross is and how the Holy Cross mission can be carried out, both nationally and internationally. So I want to take a moment here to applaud Marco Clark. He has done more, I think, in the few months that he has been the executive director than was done in most of the previous years. He has been amazingly inventive and creative and assertive in reaching out, not only locally, but also to other institutions. It is very reassuring and very inspiring about the future of the Holy Cross Institute and its impact on all of our schools and institutions. So thank you, Marco. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. It's a thrill to have you here.
Dr. Martin, thank you. Thank you again for taking time out of your busy schedule. Thank you as well for your very kind words. I owe you an enormous debt of gratitude for the opportunity, the honor really, to serve in a ministry that is so deeply meaningful in my heart. And I join along with the thousands, probably tens of thousands of graduates from St. Edward's University and faculty members whose lives you've impacted with your leadership. The world owes you a debt of gratitude. And I think that this Holy Cross, the congregation of Holy Cross and the world of Holy Cross, which we're going to learn more about today from Brother Paul, owes you a debt of gratitude for the vision and the courage that you had to really put a stake in the ground and say, let's make sure this mission, this charism, this ministry is so meaningful. We have to make sure that it's always supported with the best scholarship and research and resources and program development, especially as we see a predominance of lay leadership in the schools around the world. And for that, you should be able to look back on your storied career at St. Edward's and know that you made a meaningful difference to the entire world for all eternity. And so we're really very grateful. And just know that you are in our prayers as you complete your final 6 months or so of your tenure at St. Edward's University. So thank you, Dr. Martin, for joining us.
Thank you.
And with that, as we talk about the world of Holy Cross, I'm really delighted to introduce to you somebody who I know very well personally, and you can see again an accomplished career as is shown here on the slide that you have. But my story with Brother Paul Bednarczyk goes back to 11th grade American literature when I was a student at Bishop McNamara High School in Forestville. This kind, gentle, intelligent, filled with energy, compassionate and humble man had just an enormous personal impact on me. And as you can see, he's had the opportunity in his various roles to have that same impact all over the world. Brother Paul, I'm delighted that today there are people here from around the world to hear you talk, including some of your former students at Bishop McNamara, colleagues from there, colleagues and former students when you were in Rome, at the school in Rome, and of course your proud religious brothers and sisters that you've been able to work with now since your profession of first vows in 1979. So thank you, brother, for taking the time to be with us, and we're going to turn this program over to you.
Well, thank you very much, Marco. It is a delight to be here, and I appreciate this invitation. And I would be remiss if I, too, did not thank Dr. Martin for his many years of service and dedicated service at St. Edward's. University. You know, we speak of Holy Cross education and our philosophy of education, and Dr. Martin has promoted that, I think, very conscientiously, not because he had to as the president of the university, but primarily because he believed in it, and he believed in it with great conviction. He's been a wonderful partner with us in this endeavor, and I certainly would like to thank him on behalf of the general administration, and we wish him well. And I do promise you that we will be at home in Rome when you do come, and we would love to have you for lunch. And I certainly look forward to meeting Dr. Fuentes too in my visit whenever I do get to visit Austin after this pandemic. Yes, it is, as I said, it is a delight for me to be here because I still consider myself a Holy Cross educator, even though I have not been in the classroom in several years. As you know, I had served as a teacher, an administrator, and a campus minister for 12 years in our Holy Cross school, in our Holy Cross schools. And this topic of internationality is an extremely important topic because our church is facing changing demographics, as Holy Cross is facing changing demographics as well. And I'm sure for some of those who are in our schools in the United States, your school is also facing some changing demographics. Now, Marco could attest to this, but I have a tendency to over-prepare, and I'm conscious of the time limit. So this is only going to be kind of like skipping a stone across a lake, giving you a little perspective of our own history as an international community and how we continue to adapt to that reality. So I would like to, if I may share if I could just get to the PowerPoint now, Denise. All right, here we go. If I may, I would just like to, as we begin all things in Holy Cross, I think we need to return to our founder's vision and our own Holy Cross's international beginnings. You know, Father Moreau desired right from the start that Holy Cross would be a missionary community. And as you know, we are named after a neighborhood. We're not named after the Holy Cross. We're named after a neighborhood in Le Mans. But his vision extended beyond that neighborhood of Saint Croix. He really had a dream that his religious of Holy Cross would go beyond the borders of France. And it was during his lifetime, he sent in 1840, originally the Brothers of St. Joseph to Algiers. And then in 1841 to the United States. He sent religious to Canada, to Italy. Our last foundation in Italy, right now, the only foundation in Italy that we have is our generalate where we live. However, we did have an international school here in 1991. I was the assistant headmaster of that for 5 years. And unfortunately, we had closed that school in 1991. We went to Bengal in 1852, and I will talk about that in a little bit. When he sent these missionaries, he oftentimes did that at great sacrifice. Some of our early missionaries who went to Bengal had died because of the drastic adjustment to the weather, as well as to some other unfortunate conditions. The last foundation that he sent was to Poland. Our last foundation in Poland is now what we would call Belarus. We had a parish that we had closed during the war. During the occupation. So it was part of his vision. And when we look at Holy Cross today, we have carried that vision. I need to go to the next slide here. Pardon me here. Let me just go back. I'm having a little, let's try this. Okay. If you look at Holy Cross today, I think Father Moreau would be extremely proud to see that his Holy Cross religious are in 18 countries worldwide. Now, and this is only for the men. If we were to include the women of Holy Cross, that would be even more. As you can see in the Americas, in United States, Canada, Chile, Peru, Brazil, Mexico. In the Philippines, we opened up a house in 2008. In France, Italy, as well as Ireland, Africa, Ghana, Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. And just recently, the province of South India had sent one priest to Adelaide, Australia. And this is on a kind of an exploratory mission. Right now, Father De Sousa is a pastor of a parish, and we are looking at sending future missionaries there as well. And if you notice, some of these missions began in the 40s and in the 50s. And this really was in response to the invitation of Pius XII to religious congregations to increase their missionary efforts. And it was in that time that we went to South America as well as to Africa. We also had a mission in Rwanda. And tragically, we had 6 of our brothers and 1 of our French-Canadian priests who were massacred in the genocide. We have withdrawn from Rwanda. It was a very painful time for us. But currently, we are also exploring future options for missions as well. Possibly Myanmar, possibly Sri Lanka, if not maybe even Vietnam. Now, I will get to the schools, but I don't want you to think that Holy Cross is only involved in schools. We are also known for our parishes, our parochial ministries. And we staff all parishes pretty much in all the countries where we serve. Our parishes run the gamut in its diversity. You may have your typical parish community in your Western world, but in some areas of rural Uganda or India, you may have a main parish with 20 to 30 outstations, where the priest would have to travel on foot, sometimes for a couple of days, to reach some of his outstations to administer the sacraments. And many of these parishes do have primary schools associated with them. We are also known for our social service. If you look here in the upper left-hand corner, you can see Andre House, which is located in Phoenix, Arizona, and that's an outreach program for the homeless. And you see in Bangladesh, Brother Ronald Drizel, who is the founder of APON, which is a rehabilitation center for drug-addicted children and young adults, which meets a great need there. ASHA in Northeast India is a social service work agency that sponsors programs for women's empowerment, as well as family counseling and youth counseling as well. All of our schools in Brazil have outreach programs to the poor and to the vulnerable. This could include literacy programs for adults before and after school programs for young children, family assistance, as well as we do have the St. Brother Andre Medical Center in Dandora in Nairobi, Kenya. That is the only medical facility, the only hospital that we would have in our congregation. So it's parish ministry, it's social ministry, but another international ministry that we have is Holy Cross Family Ministries, which is located in 15 different countries. Some of you may have heard of the Rosary priest, Venerable Patrick Peyton, who was a Holy Cross priest. He had coined the phrase, "The family that prays together stays together." he had promoted the rosary as the primary means of family prayer. Holy Cross Family Ministries continue his mission today in 15 countries by teaching families how to pray. Father Peyton had rosary rallies around the world, and it was he and Venerable Bishop Sheehan who were primarily the first to use the media as a way of evangelization. And we hope that we would, well, we certainly look forward to his canonization in the near future. Now, that's a little bit about what we do, but I would like to also look at who we are today in the congregation by looking at some of our demographics. The chart that you see here is divided by regions of where we are located as Holy Cross Religious. And we see of our membership as of 2018, 2 years ago, and you see our projected membership in each particular region for 2033. We are, in 2018, we were 1,113 religious. Now, this is finally professed religious. If you were to include our temporarily professed and novices, that would bump it up a little to about 275 to 300 more, depending upon the year. Now, some of you may be asking, why is it that we have fewer vocations in our mission countries at this time? But you have to realize that it was only 40 to 50 years ago that we started to accept vocations in our mission territories. It was always part of the Holy Cross mission to build up and to strengthen the local church wherever we were. Therefore, if a young man or a young woman had a vocation, we would send them to a local congregation. This changed, however, after Vatican II. For instance, in Bangladesh, there was a Holy Cross sister who was a foundress of a very large congregation right now of women in Bangladesh. And if you notice, our demographics pretty much reflect the changing demographics within the church itself. For what we see is exponential growth within the developing world and a diminishing number within the Western world. But I must say that in the United States, we are blessed with vocations for both priests and brothers. Currently, we have about approximately 50 men who are in the various stages of formation. Of course, the numbers are much higher in Africa as well as in Asia. Years ago, we used to talk about the world church, but now we speak about the global church. And that is attributed to our rapid forms of communication and travel, and that we too, as a congregation, have become, I think, much more a global congregation than simply an international congregation, which affects who we are and how we think about the congregation. Now, this becomes a challenge on many fronts. It's a gradual shift in mindset from a Western mindset, which has always been the dominant segment within the congregation, a shift from a Western to a more global concept, that we're not just members of various cultures and traditions in isolation, but rather with the increased communication and travel, how can we reflect better our common traditions, cultures, and customs within the congregation? While we have the growth in the developing world, the resources continue to be in the developed world. And what we realize now is that we can no longer think in isolation, but we are members of a much larger congregation. And our internationality is something, and what we're beginning to discover is that being international, being global, being intercultural is not something that we have to tolerate, but rather it is something that needs to be embraced as a gift from God, given to us by our founder. Now, those who are in the schools, well, you may see a similar cultural shift in your populations. If I were to speak about interculturality, that would be another whole webinar. But I do believe that the importance of culture cannot be overlooked nor underestimated, be it within a culture within our congregation or within a school. The culture, the individual cultures of your students, of their ethnic backgrounds, all of that needs to be considered, especially today as we look to educate our young people. Just to give you a visual, a general chapter is a major meeting that we have every 6 years, and it's there that we elect the leadership and determine our future visioning for the next 6 years. Our general chapter in 1980 had delegates from France, the United States, and Canada. At our recent 2019 extraordinary general chapter, we had delegates from France, Canada, the US, Haiti, Chile, Brazil, Uganda. It runs the gamut. You can see that the complexion of the congregation has changed dramatically over the years. And we are very, very proud of that, because now we have delegates from our former mission, religious rather, in our former mission territories, who are now serving in other parts of the world. So looking at internationality, we are trying as a congregation to creatively meet the needs of the congregation. And to give you an example, just recently we had installed a new rector at St. Joseph's Oratory in Montreal, Father Michael Delaney, who is an American. The staff at the oratory includes 3 Indian confreres, 1 Bengali, including Father Mike. There's 1 other American and 4 Haitian Holy Cross religious. At the oratory, which is in Montreal, which is primarily French speaking, we have masses in English, Spanish, as well as in Creole. In Montreal also, the Canadian province just established a formation house two years ago. While the directors are Canadian, those in formation who will eventually serve in Canada as future priests and as brothers, we have 2 scholastic brothers from Bangladesh, 2 seminarians from Bangladesh, a Haitian seminarian, and 1 Canadian postulant. We expect 3 more seminarians coming from India, as well as 2 to 3 Indian priests in the future. The region of English Canada is pretty much centralized within the Ontario area, and the superior of that region is from our Vicariate of Tamil Nadu in India, Father Vijay. The 6 parishes in that region are all staffed by our Indian Holy Cross confreres. Our shrine to our blessed founder, Blessed Basil Moreau in Le Mans. The shrine right now, the pastor and rector is Father Paul Bednarczyk, who is a Haitian priest, and he is assisted by Father Joseph Gonzalez, who is from Bangladesh. And then finally, we have our International House of Formation in Santiago. We have seminarians and scholastic brothers from Chile, Peru, Brazil, and Haiti who live and study together there in Santiago. Now, as we look at the internationality of the congregation, that helps us understand the internationality of our own schools. So when we look at our schools, I have divided them by country to give you an idea of the number of schools and where we educate and where we are located. The largest concentration would be within the United States, where we have 3 universities and 3 colleges, as well as 16 primary or secondary schools. India has 41 primary or secondary schools. Frequently, they would refer to them as colleges, kind of within the French tradition. But Peru, Chile, Brazil, Uganda, all of these Holy Cross schools, wherever Holy Cross missionaries were sent, we did what we usually do best, which is educate. So we immediately began to open up schools, many times at the invitation of the local bishop, because a school is an important work of evangelization. As in my current role, I also serve as vice postulator for the cause of Father MOREAU'S canonization. And currently we're awaiting a miracle for that to happen. But I really do believe that the one miracle that we can attribute to the intercession of Father MOREAU is the success of our schools. And I can go on and on about that, but I would just like to give you a few success stories. Needless to say, we don't need to go further than the University of Notre Dame. Even the Holy Father, of course, is a Notre Dame fan there, as you can see. But again, this was mission territory when Father Sorin and the 6 brothers came from France, and they developed this French college model into what we now know today as the University of Notre Dame. We have St. George's College in Santiago, which has a very unusual history. The college was founded in 1936, and Holy Cross took it over in the 40s. And it was during the coup, the Pinochet coup in the early 70s, where the Holy Cross religious were dismissed from the college. Some of the priests were imprisoned, some were tortured, and some were deported as a result because they spoke out against the injustice of the Pinochet regime. And then in 1986, Holy Cross returned to the college, and currently it is considered one of the best schools in the country. In fact, 1/3 of the CEOs of the top 200 companies in Chile are graduates of that school. Holy Cross Lakeview in secondary school in Jinja, Uganda was founded by Father Robert Hesse and Brother Paul Bednarczyk. And it was founded in 1993 in a rundown one-room schoolhouse. Today, it is rated as one of the top 50 schools in all of Uganda. St. Placid School in Chittagong, Bangladesh, that was Brother Benedict, who was one of the original brothers who went to Bangladesh, began teaching there in 1853. And within 10 years, St. Placid's became a Holy Cross school. And 160 years later, it still is a Holy Cross school. And many of our current and former government officials were educated by Holy Cross religious, including our Holy Cross sisters. Without a doubt and without question, Holy Cross schools are the best schools in the country of Bangladesh. We just founded Bangladesh's first Catholic university, Notre Dame University of Bangladesh. It's the first Catholic university in the country. Just quickly, a personal story. When I went and I had some problems with my visa, the visa guard called over his supervisor, and on the address, I said I was staying at Notre Dame College. And he said, oh, brother, please, no problem. I'm sorry, he doesn't understand. So the problem was quickly resolved. So Holy Cross does have a name as well as a significant reputation within the country for quality education. As we look through all of this, I share why is this important for you to know. It is important because, like your students, every time you walk into the front door of your school, you need to know that there are many more teachers, there are many more students who are walking into similar doors around the world into Holy Cross schools. And it's important to know that you're connected with them and that you're part of something much greater and you're part of a much larger tradition. I've had the privilege in my capacity to visit all of our jurisdictions with the exception of Peru. And whether it be, whether I was in the far corners of India, Tanzania, or Haiti, but I could walk into a school or into a community house and I can see the family pictures, the pictures of Father Moro or Brother Andre, or I can see the cross and anchors, and I immediately know that I'm home, that I'm part of something. As I always say, what makes a Holy Cross school is the lived out charism. And that charism doesn't belong to us as Holy Cross religious. A charism is a gift of the Spirit, and that gift to the Spirit of the Spirit needs to be shared. It's a gift to the church. And you share in that charism by educating the hearts and minds of our students in the vision of our blessed founder, Father Moro. So you bring that to our students each and every day. And for that, we are extremely grateful and extremely proud. So you are part of this Holy Cross tradition and an important part of that tradition. So for that, I would like to thank you. Thank you so much.
Brother, wow. So one of the goals that we've had for the Holy Cross Institute is to really let our schools community of schools know that we are a part of something much bigger than ourselves. And as one who considers himself fairly well versed in Holy Cross, when I first saw your presentation and now hearing it today, I'm really blown away. I'm blown away by just the extraordinary impact that Holy Cross has made for 2 centuries and continues to make. And wow, it's really very humbling to be, just one small part of that. And so we thank you for this extraordinary presentation. And we do have a couple of minutes for questions. And if anybody has questions, please drop them into your chat and we will pull them. But I'm going to start off with one here, brother. You mentioned countries that have only a very small minority of their population who are Christian. And yet you talked about the schools there that are thriving in Bangladesh and India, where the predominant religions there are Muslim or Hindu. I just wonder if you might share with us what challenges exist in those countries and just garner a little bit more, shed a little bit more light on that.
Sure. If I just may talk a little bit about Bangladesh. When we look at Bangladesh, the Catholic population in Bangladesh is only 0.2% of the country. There are about 350,000 Catholics in Bangladesh. Okay, the majority of the population, about 90% of the population, is Muslim. Naturally, we're going to reflect that population. However, Bangladesh also has a wonderful, wonderful tolerance of religions, whether it's Buddhist or Christians, whatever Christian denomination it is. It is a hallmark of tolerance. One of the challenges, of course, that we would face there is a rising fundamentalism that we need to be very vigilant about. As I had mentioned, a lot of our government leaders are graduates of our schools, so they carry those values with them to their current positions. But we see a similar challenge in India as well, especially with the current administration, or the current prime minister, who is concentrating more and more on the Hindu population and discriminating against Christians. So we're very concerned about the future of our schools in India, because we are providing a much needed service, a valuable service that is really treasured by the people who benefit from that. But there are forces outside there that present a great challenge. But in the midst of all of that, we do not deny our own Catholic identity. All right, we become true to our values. Again, a Catholic school in Bangladesh is going to be very different from, say, a Catholic school in Chicago or in Forestville, Maryland. Okay, but the values and the traditions of the education are still very much embraced.
Thank you, brother. And, one of the pressing questions that school personnel have asked me in my time in this role are what ways that Holy Cross schools in the U.S. might be able to integrate more with some of our international schools. Are there teacher exchange programs in place, or are there opportunities for service and immersions and twinning relationships? Can you just speak to that for a moment?
Sure, there are some schools that already have twinning relationships. Our Father General had the foresight of recently establishing an education commission, of which you're part of. And I think exploring further opportunities for these cultural exchanges, ministerial exchanges, I think that would be something that could be explored through the commission, through the Holy Cross Institute, in consultation with the sponsoring provincials of the Midwest as well as the Moreau provinces. But I think those could be some exciting opportunities there that would be available.
Yeah, and I think as we look back on 2 centuries and look ahead to the next 2 centuries, this global community that you speak of is right here before us. Just the fact that you're coming to us today from Rome, where it's almost 10 o'clock at night now, and as I've looked to see who our attendees are from everywhere, and by the way, we do have representation from Peru, and I think they're expecting a visit from you sometime when that opportunity presents itself. So, brother, I am sure that we have lots of other pressing questions. We do want to try to stick within our time frame, though, and I'm just going to wrap up again with a really heartfelt expression of gratitude to you. Your program today, presentation, was extraordinary, and one of the goals that we have of the Holy Cross Institute is to use these webinar opportunities not only for our school population and others here around the world to see that we're part of something much bigger than ourselves, which you did so beautifully, but also to present a picture of hope for the future. As we celebrate 200 years, we also celebrate and look forward to the next 200 years. And with that, just very quickly, Brother Paul mentioned some of the activities and programs of the Holy Cross Institute. Denise, if you wouldn't mind just sharing that screen very quickly. These are some additional opportunities for people to get involved and participate in HCI activities. We ask you to mark your calendars for our convocation, which is the signature event annually for the Holy Cross Institute. It'll take place April the 15th through the 18th. It'll be offered fully virtually this year. 3.5 days of programming, breakout sessions, keynote presenters. One of those presenters will be Brother Paul, and so people have an opportunity to explore more deeply this internationality of Holy Cross. Promises to be an extraordinary program, and as I mentioned earlier, and I said it very quickly, all of the programs that we offer free of charge to attendees, and so people will be able to dial in from their office or from their home anywhere in the world to participate in the Holy Cross Institute Convocation April 15th through the 18th. If you're looking for additional resources, we're still in the process of updating and uploading more resources to the HCI website, which is on the St. Edward's University website. We also ask you to mark your calendars for next month's webinar, January the 14th at 5 p.m. Central Time, which we know is very late for Rome. So, brother, we do not expect that you'll be on there, but we're really proud and honored to feature Sister Anne LaCour, who's the superior for the Marionite Sisters of Holy Cross, and will share more with us about the Marionites and their work with Father Moreau and with the continuation of the ministries offered through the Marionites. We do a student leaders conference, mission seminars, retreats. We're working on developing our first Holy Cross prayer book with prayer submissions from students and faculty members from around the world. The Holy Cross History Association, Holy Cross Associates, I should say, excuse me, Holy Cross Associates are sponsoring a student essay contest we remind people of. And then some new programs that are under development is an anti-racism teaching symposium, which will happen in August, a Holy Cross Leadership Academy for new leaders and aspiring leaders in June, and a Holy Cross Charism Initiative, which we hope to use as a badging or certification program for Holy Cross educators. So you can see that there's a lot happening. Please follow us on social media. We are on Facebook and Twitter very actively. And so you can see it's HC Institute SEU to follow us there. And then Denise, last slide. I always like to close with really this wonderful quote from Christian Education from Father Moreau, as we all consider our personal witness, our walk in life, whether it's living vocationally as Holy Cross educators or living vocationally in the business world, that all of us should consider the greatness of our mission and the wonderful amount of good that we can accomplish. We are, after all, disciples, men and women with hope to bring. And so we encourage you to use this hashtag hope to bring on your social media post as you reference all things Holy Cross. And with that, as we conclude in these final days leading up to Christmas, I want to wish everyone a blessed Advent, a very Merry Christmas, and bring on 2021. Let's remain men and women with hope to bring. Thank you all for joining. Dr. Martin, Brother Paul especially, really just a delight to have you here today. And may God bless you all. And we hope to see everyone soon.
Merry Christmas, everyone. And again, thank you so much for all the good work that you do.
Thank you, Brother Paul. It's been a delight today. Thank you. All right, take care, everybody.